Even though we were both going to be in Europe at the same time, this trip to Norway almost didn't come off, as we were both going in different directions to different places, but somehow we managed to pull it off, and me and my friend Katie had an incredible time exploring Oslo and Bergen and later hiking in Lofoten. I met Katie at the train station and we immediately headed off to Bergen, which is a 7.5-hour train ride from Oslo. The train trip is meant to be one of the most scenic in the world, and as we coasted through these insane landscapes, I can definitely see why. It was so gorgeous. I thought it was really entertaining because I'm used to long trains after doing Eurail, but Katie sat there complaining for the first 3 hours and then started enjoying it about halfway through and had a lot of compliments and nice things to say. We went for a little walk when we arrived just to stretch our legs after sitting down for so long, and we immediately found that Bergen was very charming and almost more lively than Oslo. The next morning we headed up to Ulkrien, the highest peak in Bergen, and when Katie said to me that we were going to walk up a hill, I was like, oh, okay, skirt. Turns out that it was less of a hill and more of a genuine mountain, and we were both very poorly dressed. Even though we did walk up a lot of steps, the view was very, very pretty. However, I learned that whenever we go hiking, I should not completely and utterly trust Katie. In the evening, the weather was not the best, so we walked around the central town area a little bit before heading back to our hostel to hide from the rain. The next morning, we went and got cinnamon buns first thing because Norway does them so well, and then we stopped in at a famous hot chocolate place which I thought was quite overpriced for what it was, even though it was nice. We explored the Berghaus Fortress, which even though it's free, you have to pay to go inside and see anything, which we thought was rather entertaining.
Okay, thank you. Beautiful.
We then headed up to the university gardens, which are insanely gorgeous and were also incredibly quiet. We also met a very friendly cat here. The next morning we headed back on the train, which took up most of the day. Once again we needed to stretch our legs after the long train ride, so we headed down to the opera house for sunset, which was absolutely lovely. The next morning we headed to the National Art Museum to obviously see the most famous and relatable artwork ever, the Scream. We also looked at all the other incredible artwork. They had a collection of modern art as well as a lot of historical pieces. It was a fairly extensive collection compared to what I thought they would have, but it was absolutely incredible. We ended up spending a lot more time here than we expected. also looked at the town hall nearby, which was also very cool, and checked out the local fortress as well. We weren't too fussed on doing anything in particular in Oslo, as it was kind of just seeing what we came across. The next morning, Katie headed to a mountaineering museum and I went up to Parken, which I only really wanted to visit because it's where the opening scene from The Worst Person in the World was filmed. We then headed up to Lofoten together, where we went hiking for a week, which is a separate video, but it was an absolute blast and it was so lovely to spend this time in the Arctic version of New Zealand, which is kind of what we've established that Norway is. After Norway, I headed back down to Thailand, so I hope you'll tune in to see my adventures back down there. Thank you for watching.